Hello watch enthusiasts. During Baselworld 2016, Omega have released a variety of new and interesting dress and sports watches, which really adds to their ranges. So we have new Ploprofs, new Planet Oceans, a new version of the Globemaster, um, and a couple of Speedmasters. Um, so I'll start off with the Speedmasters that have been released, and there are some new and interesting technologies involved in these Speedmasters, which I think you'll be interested in. Firstly, we have the new Speedmaster Meteorite uh, version, and this watch is very interesting and notable because its dial is actually made from a slice of meteorite, which gives it that metallic and unique look. So each watch will be individual, as no two pieces of meteorite are going to be the same. Now, this does mean, due to the metallic nature of meteorite stone, that the high-end 9000 movements can't be used. So it's not anti-magnetic, due to the metallic nature of the dial. So it has to use 9300 caliber, which is a bit disappointing on as high-end a piece as this, but it is a grey side of the moon, so of course that is the only metallic part of the case, because the rest of the case is grey ceramic, which, as we've seen on various other grey sides of the moons, is a very interesting material. Now, this watch is automatic, and as you can see, the accents on it are gold, which does contrast the grey, slightly austere nature of the colouring of the case and the dial. So this watch is a very limited run, due to the nature of the dial, and I think it introduces something really new to the Speedmaster range. There is also a new Speedmaster Moonphase, and this is notable because it's the first Speedmaster we've seen to have a Moonphase, but it has also gained a new liquid metal tachymeter, which is a first for the Speedmaster range. It uses the usual Moonwatch case, the usual professional case, rather than the more simple one used on the 57, and first Omega in space watches. Apparently, it also has a Moonphase which is so accurate that it only has to be adjusted once every 10 years, which is quite a feat for Omega. Now, of course, this watch is anti-magnetic, to the specifications that we've seen on recent Omegas, which has been rather impressive. So the watch only comes in this one blue colour, but I think that really does work with the Moonphase concept. This watch also has the nice domed crystal, which I encountered when I last saw a first Omega in space, which is really rather nice considering it's actually sapphire and not acrylic. Other than that, though, it is very much the usual Speedmaster shape and design, along with the usual hands. It does also only come on this leather strap, which I think is appropriate, seeing as this isn't a hardcore sports watch like other Speedmasters. A new Speedmaster has also been released, which has the same design as the first Omega in space, while changing the colours and the various markers on the dial somewhat. So the hands have changed, as all the subdials now have the alpha-style hands, rather than the baton hands, and the chronograph second hand has a pip in the middle of it, which is circular rather than the pointed or pipless versions we've seen on previous editions of this watch. It also has a slightly different tachymeter, and the case is that classic shape that we've seen on the previous first Omega in space. As you can see, the dial has these dark blue accents, which go all around the sides of the dial, and really give a very different colour and a different character to the watch. In the Seamaster lineup, we now see an Aquaterra GMT, which is a Good Planet version, which rather interestingly follows up after that Planet Ocean that we saw under the Good Planet name. The first size is a 43mm version, which, as I might point out, is larger than than most Seamasters. So that was a bit of a surprise. I would have thought that being a sort of a semi-dress watch, the Aquaterra would remain quite small, but no, they've taken a leap into a larger size. Now the smaller size is quite surprising actually, because it is actually larger than the smallest of the Planet Oceans, at 38.5 mils. Um, Now the smaller version is not a GMT; it's just a standard time function watch. But I think is rather interesting from an aesthetic point of view, due to the white and blue used rather extensively during this Baselworld for Omega. A fourth type of Seamaster Planet Ocean has been released, which is quite interesting, because previously one could only get the GMT in the 43.5mm size, but now there is a sports version which is that size and isn't a GMT. Now this version has the liquid metal bezel, but that orange section between 0 and 15 is actually a type of rubber, caoutchouc, so that's an expensive type of rubber, to give that vivid contrast, and that's actually pressed into the bezel itself. I think this is a really interesting concept from Omega, as it hasn't been attempted before. Now I think this watch actually is exactly what the Planet Ocean always should have been, a sort of a sportier, more modern, more playful version of the Seamaster. So you can clearly see in this, it's very visible, very bright, so it's really the perfect dive watch for those who also want to wear the watch during daily life. So for people who wear a Ploprof simply wouldn't be appropriate. A second 43.5mm Omega has been released, and this is a new GMT. So this has this rather nice black and white dial, along with a black and white bezel, which gives a much more dressy watch than the aforementioned 43.5mm normal Planet Ocean. Now, though it's water resistant to 600 meters, it does come on this leather strap, so it is designed for someone who would like a sports watch, but will use it more for travel and daily life, rather than as a proper dive watch. Despite this less sporty demeanour, this watch does still have the helium escape valve on the left-hand side, so it can still be used for sporting activities. Though it's nice to see a monochrome version of the GMT Seamaster Planet Ocean, which until now was always a very bright watch. There is also a new Seamaster Ploprof, that's the 1200-meter diver, and this new version features an all-titanium case and bracelet, which I think is a really good idea, because this is already an extremely bulky 48 by 54mm watch, I believe. Really the weight of that case was enormous before, but now it's been reduced massively due to the use of a different metal. Now, as you can see from the photograph, it retains the standard plongeur-style hands, along with the traditional system for unlocking the bezel with that button. It also does come in some new colours, so it comes in, for example, this grey version, which I really like. I think it gives it a really matted and an interesting look, which I haven't seen elsewhere. There are also other colour schemes available, such as a blue and white version, which has been seen a lot in the press recently, along with a two-tone and precious metal versions. Now, as you can see in this photograph, this watch here is a two-tone one, because it has that gold crown and pusher. You'll notice that the movement is also visible, which for a 1200-meter watch is quite exceptional. I don't think I've seen that anywhere else. And the movement is the caliber 8912, which is a master coaxial version, which is anti-magnetic to 15,000 Gauss. There is a new version of one of my favourite dress watches from Omega, which is the Globemaster. So in this new version, we have an annual calendar variant, an option, which means that the months are labelled around the sides of that pipe-hand style dial, and that means that the amount of days in the month adjusts to the month you happen to be in, which is an extremely convenient feature to have on a watch. However, I have some reservations with this watch. My problem with this watch is that the font used to show the months of the year is extremely classic, a font that you would be happy to see on a watch from the 19th century. However, this watch is styled like actually like my Beau Mercier from that period, from the sort of 50s and 60s, and that font simply wouldn't be around in those days. Along with the font that Globemaster's been written in, I think it'd be far more appropriate to write in a far more modern font, in keeping with the style of the watch. Now, what is rather nice is that we still have that pipe-hand dial, which was loved by a lot of owners of the original, because it's just so different and so classic that this watch really is appropriate for anything, for any sort of attire. Yes, however, I haven't seen any gold, rose gold versions of this watch, which I'd be very happy to see in future, with slightly different dial colours, such as the blue that we saw on the other versions. Now I shall end on what must be the most distasteful Omega released this year, which is a Planet Ocean in full gold, rose gold, with a sort of a chocolate, allegedly, but I'd say more of a dark brown dial, which I just don't think goes at all. And frankly, on a sports watch, I find that rather distasteful. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe if you'd like to see more good content. Thank you for watching. This is I'm on the Watch Guy. Over and out.